This episode of Horror Movie Talk brought to you by over-promising movie trailers. Do you hate being surprised at movies in the theater? Well, over-promising movie trailers will give you all of the best parts of the movie so you can sit patiently and wait for the interesting part that you already saw.
Is this a metal thing?
Yes. Little taste.
David, what is this?
Pretty thick.
Great.
I have to kill a lot of people! Just tell me what you want me to fuck!
I have big tits and a tiny vagina.
Oil me up, Daddy.
I can't believe that Bryce prefers big tits.
Mistletoe alert.
This is backcountry.
This guy was a real jerk.
How long can Hugo be pregnant?
Chomp, 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 chomp.
Oh, you're such a dick, David.
Okay, everybody, put on your corpse handling gloves.
Ew.
Hoodie Picasso. Horror.
Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk. I'm Bryce Hanson, the one that remains. And with me today is Kyle Nolan. And I don't have anything witty to say about Colin. It's Colin? Your name's not Colin. It's Kyle.
Definitely not Colin. Definitely not Colin.
Kyle the Colin Nolan. No matter who's here, each week we bring you a new horror movie review. New theatrical releases always get priority, but we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible. Make sure you rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. Full video available on YouTube. Don't be a square. Be sure to share. I'm a little off today. I don't have my regular setup because my desktop is acting up, and so I'm just thrown off because I'm looking at a laptop and I can see like the prominent double chin from below. It's just a mess. Anyways, also check out patreon.com/horrormovietalk. It's the equivalent of the adult section of a video rental store. If you want to call and leave us a voicemail, call 682-253-4468. And I think actually tomorrow I'm going to be recording an episode with David to answer all the old voicemails. We've got a great show today. We're going to be reviewing Thanksgiving, Eli Roth's latest slasher. We'll give a brief synopsis and review, and then our scores for the movie. We score on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the bottom of the barrel, and 10 being genre redefining. After we give our score, we'll get into spoilers and take a deeper dive into what we liked and hated about the film. Later on, we'll be playing Attack of the Rotten Tomatoes game, a holiday-themed Rotten Tomatoes game.
I'm going to do very good at that.
So, yeah, a lot of the stuff planned. I can actually hear my echo a little bit, Kyle. Can you turn down your headphones a little?
Oh, I can try.
Or just turn down the volume on your headphones, maybe? So, Thanksgiving can be found in theaters now. It takes place in Plymouth, Massachusetts, the indigenous home of the Pilgrims. It's beset by a mysterious Thanksgiving-inspired killer. Wearing the mask of Plymouth's founder and dressed as a pilgrim, the killer seems to be exacting revenge on those involved in a deadly Black Friday riot a year earlier. Between the holiday-themed kills, a cast of teens led by Jessica, played by Nell Verlacque. Verlacque? It's unclear how to pronounce that. As well as the sexiest sheriff alive, played by Patrick Dempsey. They try to unmask the killer and save the town. This film, if you didn't know, is based off of the fake trailer that Eli Roth created for Grindhouse to play between the double feature of Planet Terror and Death Proof. The trailer was an homage to 80s hard R slashers such as Pieces and My Bloody Valentine. This film, instead of being a gritty and stylish homage, Thanksgiving feels like a lazy Blumhouse remake of a much more iconic movie. There are some great kills, half of which are shown in the trailer, but they are wrapped with a bland, sanitized script full of too many uninteresting characters. Eli Roth really seems to be phoning it in on the directing. The film comes off as lazy since there's very little style, and the editing consistently is off by a second or two, by either not by either dwelling too long on a moment that doesn't need to be dwelled on, or not giving you enough crucial information to land the impact of what it's trying to show you. Overall, it comes off as an unseasoned and undercooked turkey of a movie. I give it, I mean, it's one of those things where it's a slasher. My expectations aren't super high. It's not necessarily the type of film I love. I will say the kills in it and some of the set pieces, like the special effects stuff, is great. I laughed several times. It was very enjoyable and over the top in some parts, but again, it works better as a trailer if you just show those parts and don't show the rest of the bland movie that's containing it.
It had a lot of good humor spots in it, and a lot of good timing, but it was almost too much of the whole movie. It kind of took away from what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, it just didn't quite work for me. Even though, if you're going to see some of the interesting kills, again, about half of them are shown in the trailer, but it's got some stuff left, and the ending is probably the best part of the movie. So it's not terrible, but it's just not. It's kind of disappointing. So I give it a 4 out of 10. What did you think, Kyle?
It was hard because I love slashers. It was like slashers what introduced me to horror altogether. A big fan of Scream and all these other ones. So I went in expecting a very good slasher movie. But in the beginning, it threw me off right away with the dialogue they used. It was really just. It seemed super fake. The dialogue wasn't correct. I wasn't a huge fan of the actors at all. I don't think the acting was that great. And there's one guy in particular, Evan. I can't stand the guy. I cannot stand him. I don't like his voice, his look, anything about him. The kills, I really like the kills. I like how they used the instruments of Thanksgiving. It was really. I think the kills were very interesting. There was a lot of gore, which is like Eli Roth. Not too much, not overly done, but there was just enough. But overall, the movie was just not that great. I think I went with a 5, so a little bit higher than you. I don't think it was the worst movie I've ever seen, but it definitely was not a top-tier slasher, I don't believe, myself.
Yeah. Have you seen the original Grindhouse trailer?
Yeah. I actually watched it again like 10 minutes ago.
I know.
And,
isn't it so disappointing? How great would that movie have been?
Well, yeah, and there was some people online talking about they wish they could have done the more of a grainy film style and all that, and it would have been. I think it would have put the movie in a different aspect. But like I said, I think they went too much comedy, and it kind of just diluted the whole movie in general. It was a good trailer.
It was weird. Like, the comedy was not as self-aware as it should have been. Like in the trailer, in the Grindhouse trailer, it was a lot more like winking at the camera because some of the deaths that it showed in the trailer were just ridiculous.
Yes.
So just over the top. And there wasn't enough of that in the movie to really sell it as like a satire of the 80s slashers.
It's like they tried to go meta, and they didn't go fully. They didn't step fully into that door.
Right. Yeah. So, I don't know. It's a little disappointing. I didn't have high expectations, but it met my mid expectations.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I went to the theaters, and there was like 30 people there. And the reactions in the theater were, like, they were laughing, clapping, everything. And it was... At spots of the movie, I was like, "Well, why are we clapping? Like nothing happened here." And it's like it was actually not a great experience. The movie and the crowd that was there, like the movie etiquette is just gone. Like, I was taught you don't fucking talk during a movie. Why are we all having side conversations during the movie? And you're clapping, so you don't know what's happening because you're too busy talking. You just see blood, and you're super excited by it. So, I don't know. It wasn't that great of an experience for me, personally.
Yeah. That's a bummer.
Yeah.
You know what else is a bummer? Ads. Ads are a bummer, and I know that if you just listen to some ads, you didn't want to. So please consider, open your hearts to Horror Movie Talk and join us on our Patreon. And that way, at a certain level, you can get ad-free versions with early releases. So go there. Also, you can support us on our shop at horrormovietalk.com/shop. You can buy our logo hoodie. And I think I might have a sticker or two on there. I can't remember what we have left. And also check out our resident artist, Dustin Goebel. He's a professional artist who fucks hard. He also takes commissions for artwork from HMT fans. Contact him on Instagram at dgoebel00. That's DGOEBEL00. Again, if you want to leave us a voicemail, call 682-253-4468. Thanks again for listening. Let's get into spoilers. So, yeah. There was an interesting bit of trivia in the IMDb that I'll just read here. It says, in an interview with Total Film magazine, filmmaker Eli Roth has said this film isn't meant to be the film that was advertised in Grindhouse. We said, let's pretend Thanksgiving was a movie from 1980 that was so offensive that every print was destroyed. All the scripts were burned. The director disappeared. The crew members changed their names. One person saved the trailer and uploaded it to the darkest corner of 4chan, and now it's made it out. So this is a 2023 reboot. Once we said that, it freed us up, which is like exactly what it felt like. It almost makes me wonder if this was literally like Eli Roth might be the best director if this was like truly his intention to make like a bad Blumhouse remake.
A campy
that's
movie.
exactly what it came off as. Like, if you watch Black Christmas, or if you watch, what's another, like Fantasy Island, or like one of these just cash grab Blumhouse remakes of classic.
They're very good at that. They're very
movies.
good at just robbing you. I mean, Blumhouse is the master at holding you up at the theaters and stealing all your money.
Yeah, I mean they can either do like just great movies that just are fantastic, or they just pump out these kind of con movies.
I don't understand why he would not want to make it the trailer. Why would you want to deviate from that and make this movie of all things,
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to go through the effort of remaking or making a movie around the trailer that people loved, like, why not just do a full feature of that? And I don't know, that's such a weird question, because like I think it would have worked. I think it would have been like a really cool movie to have like the grain, like the scratches in the film and stuff, and like make it a truly grindhouse movie, because that trailer was amazing. And it would have been probably, the answer is it probably would have been an X-rated movie.
Yes.
And I'm sure like most of the rationale is around financials and like being able to sell the movie to studios, but it comes off as just kind of bland, as like a good idea executed poorly.
It was just disappointing, because I was really hoping this movie would be a yearly movie that I can sit down and watch Thanksgiving while I'm cooking, but I'm probably never ever going to choose to put this movie on.
Yeah.
If it's on TV or something, like someone else is watching it, that's fine. But I'm not going out of my way to watch this movie. There's a lot of plot holes. I know it's a slasher, but still, like some things just don't make sense. They don't add up for me, especially with like the sheriff and how he's in multiple places and multiple times, and no one questions it. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and then there's like some of the stuff they do with the characters, like some characters, like the guy that was the son of the gun shop owner or whatever. Like all of a sudden, he's super caring and wants to protect these kids for no reason. Like I don't understand like what the relationship between the characters was supposed to be.
It's super
In that
confusing.
circumstance, like he loans them a gun and wants them to be safe, but the entire movie before then, the only thing we know about this guy is he's kind of this entrepreneurial guy trying to scam teenagers out of money
Yes,
to go to his party. So it's like it's an incongruent, the actions, and so like stuff like that where it just makes me confused. I'm like, well, wait a minute, what's the missing information here? Like, is this guy supposed to be connected with these teens in a real way, or what? And I don't know if I missed it just because I wasn't paying attention, or if it was just lazy writing.
no, I don't
And
think
I
you
think it's
missed
probably
anything.
the latter.
Yeah, I don't think you missed anything. Like when he gives the ring to her, this is my dad's ring from Iraq. It might keep you safe. Well, he didn't tell her there was a knife in it or anything. I mean, how did you figure
Yeah.
that out? That's a weird thing to do. You just walked up to a lady, but here's the ring. It just doesn't make sense. And then, like, my biggest issue with it, though, is when the sheriff is at the police station and they find the streaming. But he's there, but he's also streaming, which leads me to believe there might be, like, a helper or another killer we don't see or something because... And then, he changes costumes at a parade and no one questions, hey, the sheriff's supposed to be here. There's a killer on the loose. Like, where is he at? So it was like some of those plot holes are just kind of tough to overlook. It kind of threw me off, the whole time.
Yeah. So spoiler, it ends up being the sexiest sheriff alive. Patrick Dempsey is the killer in this, and it's kind of tacked on because. So here's the thing, like with the mystery, they never really sell it either. Where it's like they don't really directly try to lead you down any compelling path. Like it tries saying like, oh, it's probably her boyfriend or it's probably her ex-boyfriend, and that's like the obvious things. But like, and then the gun shop kid or guy, it doesn't really try to sell you on anyone in particular. It just confuses you with like, okay, why would anyone have a motive to do this? Like, it seems kind of over the top for whoever. Like, it doesn't like show any of the characters that you're supposed to be thinking have done it. They don't say anything that really leads you to the path of like, oh, they're probably the one that did it. It just kind of just assumes you're going to fill it in and be like, oh, well, that guy is the obvious killer just because he's the ex-boyfriend, and that's what ex-boyfriends do. And then it kind of tacks it on in the end that it's Patrick Dempsey's character, and gives you information that you don't have at all before that point, which is he got the not Courtney Cox pregnant, and she died during the Black Friday thing, and she was supposed to leave her husband for him, and it's like, okay, so it could have been anyone. Like it could have just like chosen any character and given them an unforeseen reason for it. So it's not, as far as like a mystery, it's not constructed well. And then just overall, it's just not executed well. It's not a very compelling mystery, or the characters aren't super compelling. Like it's kind of half baked because like for example, the character that I thought could have been great was kind of the dumb jock
Oh, I hated him.
character. I can't remember
Evan
what
Fletcher.
the character's name is. Yeah, so like that character like had some moments where it was like, oh, I get it. He's supposed to be the dumb jock, but he's not given enough moments, and that it gets lost in the fray that he's kind of a dummy. that it doesn't have a huge impact, on the audience, which is unfortunate. But like you watch this movie and you're like, man, this could have been there's like a really good movie in here somehow if they had like attempted to match the script with the particular aesthetic and like match the editing with it to make it like a full on 80s slasher satire. Like either go all the way in and make it a horror comedy with a lot of gore and death in it, or go the other way and make it kind of like a thriller, like make it like a mystery thriller with like a serious script and serious characters, and it's like it lands right in between those, and it doesn't work for either one.
I was hoping for like a more of a whodunit, and they don't really lean into anything. They don't really lean into a real red herring. There's multiple, but they're never
Right.
really. The story never goes on with them, and
Right.
like you said, at the very end is when we really find out that Patrick Dempsey is the guy, but we don't really get the explanation until like 5 minutes of the movie. And then I feel like they're trying to, unfortunately, we're going to get a sequel. And I feel like, so like when at one point he takes his mask off and he puts it on the oven. It burns, which is kind of foreshadowing him at the end of the movie. And they can't, he burnt to pieces. I mean, they can't find, no, they're going to bring him back next year for Thanksgiving 2. And it's going to be probably, if not worse, just as bad. And it just, the plot holes, I can't get over. Like, I just can't get over the movie. Evan was by far, I think, the worst character. There was a TikTok girl in it.
Yeah, Addison Rae.
Yeah, why are TikTok people becoming so famous in feature-length films now? I don't like it.
Because they can bring in an audience.
Oh, no.
I mean, if you're going to, like, none of these teen characters or teen actors are notable. They're all pretty new. And so they're not, like, going to get any name recognition. I mean, I've never heard of Nell Verlocque or Karen. No, that's not her. Who are some of the other teams? Jenna Warren. Like, none of these people are in things that I recognize.
No.
But for some reason, like, I've heard of Addison Rae. I still have no clue who she is or why she's famous. It's kind of similar to, like, the Kardashians. Like, my brain is being injected with these names that I know nothing about and care nothing about, but apparently they have some cachet.
She was a TikToker that did dances and shaked her butt. Got really famous. At Walmart last month, there was the clearance section was literally all they had. She has like a Barbie doll out, her own doll, and it was full. The whole shelf was full with her discounted dolls that nobody wanted. So, like, are you marketing to children or are you marketing to adults? Who are you marketing this girl to? I don't know. It just, the acting for me was not there. Even Patrick Dempsey, I didn't like his acting either. To be honest with you, he didn't do that great of a job.
Yeah, it was a little weird hearing Patrick Dempsey do a Boston accent throughout. It was like, I mean, that was kind of a fun part of the movie was the Boston accents.
Yes.
But, it's not... And there were some funny moments around that where it's like just the different townspeople arguing. But it's not, again, it's just not packaged well enough to really sell itself.
What was your favorite kill?
Mine was probably... that's a hard one. It's probably the cheerleader death. And that's a little bittersweet because I think the one in the trailer, the original trailer, is probably a little better. They went a little harder.
Much better.
But yeah, the cheerleader death was good. I mean, all of them were pretty great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the cheerleader one feels a little more iconic than the rest of them.
I do like, it's not because it's realistic. So I worked retail for a long time, 8-9 years. I worked every Thanksgiving, every Black Friday. So the beginning really made my heart sing when like people started getting trampled and stuff like that. Just because when you work there, you kind of wish that it always would happen, so you can go home. The shopping cart, I think, was a good scene. I really liked it. And then when the guy's bleeding out, dying, and they come and snatch his waffle maker from him, and just don't even care that he's dying. Like, just, this is my waffle maker. My wife needs this. Go fuck yourself. Die. I did like that part. And then with a stepmom being turned into a giant bitch turkey, I love that too.
Yeah, that was pretty great. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like the special effects scenes were great. Like all of them worked on their own in like, you know, separate from this movie. So like, yeah, that the opening Black Friday scene, which was a little confusing because it was like, oh, the tone is way off between what we've seen up to the point of like the actual like kind of carnage of that Black Friday. But when that starts going off, it's like, it's undeniably fun. I mean, the baseball pitcher's arm getting like just completely trampled and broken, and then not Courtney Cox getting smashed in the head and then scalped.
I love how you refuse to use her real name and you're just using not Courtney Cox. I love it.
Yeah. So it's so confusing because Courtney Cox and Gina Gershon, after like going through enough procedures, they look almost indistinguishable as like.
Is this the same lady from Step Brothers? Is the same actress from Step Brothers?
I don't remember her in Step Brothers.
The mom, because it
Gina
is
Gershon. She was in Showgirls. She was really big in like the 2000s and late 90s, I think. But she's shown up in a couple things. She was in what was the one that I saw her in with the girl from Parks and Rec. Anyway, she's in a lot of things, but her and Courtney Cox have gone through like some, you know, very similar plastic surgery procedures to where now they have this very similar uncanny valley look to them.
The duck bill.
Almost indistinguishable to me. Like I was like, because I've seen Gina Gershon in something else. The one I'm thinking of with God, I can't remember her name. But she was in something else. Oh, she was also in the Chucky TV series. But she was in something else, and I was like, is that Courtney Cox? It doesn't sound like Courtney Cox, but it looks exactly like her. Anyways, she was in Thanksgiving and is killed in this Black Friday event, and yeah, it goes pretty hard.
That scene, that whole scene is really well. And there's other scenes I really like with the Russian girl. Her whole scene with the ears, you know, with the corn cob holders. And I like how we heard it from her point of view a little bit, like the ringing and stuff. I kind of wish they would have done the whole scene like that. And then the parade scene, when you get the flash of the clown, I was like, I didn't know if I saw what I saw. I was like, what the fuck was that? That don't fit in there. And then all of a sudden, from the trailer, they do the same scene, but he's dressed as a clown, which doesn't really make sense to me. But I like how shocking visually it is, you know?
Yeah. No, I like that. I kind of like that because it's the, you know, the unexpected where you're like, oh, you're in a horror movie where it's like, oh yeah, the killer wears the same mask every time. And it's like, oh, he's actually a clown in this. And so it's like,
yes.
Yeah, why wouldn't a killer change up their costume to disguise themselves? It's like, it seems pretty obvious. But yeah, so that also in the Black Friday scene, there's just like a kind of a tacked on like guy that's pushed through the door and slashes his throat. So there's like a couple people killed, and then how it's treated afterwards is like it's just kind of confusing because you're like, okay, was there a cover up or like do people care about this? Does the community care at all, or like it's just like confusing who is actually upset about it and who's not, and so that kind of adds to the confusion around like what we're supposed to be thinking is who's the killer.
It's a very small group of people that care. That's it.
Yeah. Tim Dillon is in this, and he's one of the security guards, one of the two security guards, and he runs away and then gets revenge acted upon him for some reason. It's like, okay, so he didn't choose to get trampled by a mob, and so he's responsible, I guess.
Well, what is he actually going to do? What is he going to accomplish by staying there? And he's going to hold back the
Right.
whole crowd? I mean, he's a big guy, but he ain't that big. You know, like, let's be honest. I'd
Yeah.
have ran too. I'd have been gone immediately.
Yeah, and he's just another one of these like casting decisions that's just distracting. You're like, why is he in this?
Well, the whole scene of him with his cat and telling his
Uh-huh.
cat, like, oh, I'm going to Puerto Rico, it kind of didn't make sense to me either. So is he running because of what's going on? Or is he like an undercover drug dealer? Is he a mule? Or is he just scared for his life, you know? And,
Yeah, I mean, it's played that he's scared for his life, but it doesn't. Yeah, so the killer starts sending like direct messages or tagging people in these social media posts that they're going to be killed or whatever, or they're on the list. But then it doesn't like fully explain that or like connect the dots there, so that's also a little confusing. But yeah, the killer starts killing people. He starts out with the waitress. That's one of the best scenes, and it's also in the trailer where he sticks her face to the freezer. But then the actual kill is so confusing, and tell me if I missed something. So the waitress escapes and is running out, and then the killer's in her car and starts driving it towards her like he's going to pin her between the dumpster and the car.
that's it.
But she jumps into the dumpster,
Halfway.
halfway into the dumpster, but the car doesn't hit her, it hits the dumpster,
And-
and somehow her body gets cut in half.
It's because, so I've never seen a metal dumpster door, but it must have been the heaviest door known to man. He hits the dumpster
Yeah.
and it falls on her, and it cuts her in half. But I'm thinking, did he pre-sharpen it? Because there's no possible way ever it's ever going to happen.
Yeah, because she was a pretty big girl.
Yeah.
Like, it's not... It would have to have just an otherworldly amount of force applied to it. And it would, again, have to be the heaviest dumpster door in the world.
Yes.
Because usually they're just plastic. Yeah, it was... That kill was, like, so over the top, but also confusing. It was like, wait a minute, what did I miss here? Like, what... Did I miss him hitting her or something falling on her? It was just like literally someone laying halfway into a dumpster and then all of a sudden they're bifurcated
Yes.
by like no foreseen force.
There were a couple kills like that, though, that it made no sense. Like the turkey carver. They didn't really...
Right.
What are we doing here? It's electric... They barely cut my turkey. It barely cuts my turkey on Thanksgiving. It's going to cut a dude in half like that? I mean... I don't know about that.
Well, he stabs him with the turkey carver and just sticks in there, and then he cuts off his head with like a Gigli saw kind of thing.
I forgot that he cut his head off.
Yeah, so the actual kill was the head cutting off. But yeah, to your point, those mechanical knives, like, they don't have a sharp point. Like, that'd be unlikely to happen.
I like how he
But,
feeds the cat, though. I mean, he's a generous guy.
Yes.
That was super sweet of him. I mean, took care of the buddy,
Yeah, that was great. And then, like, yeah, the kind of the final, like, iconic death is probably the cheerleader death, which in the original Grindhouse trailer, she's topless and does splits onto a knife, which is pretty awesome.
Much better.
In the movie, there's a little bit of a striptease. She takes off her panties and is like jumping around it, and it's a little elongated, the scene where the guy is just sticking a knife through it as she's bouncing up and down. So it still works, but again, it's not as I just wanted it to be more exploitational. Like, is that too much to ask?
Who doesn't? I was waiting for her to get all the way down, but it just never materialized.
Yeah, she does the splits on the trampoline, I believe, or at least does them in the air at once.
She does it in the air, and then she comes down her side, if I believe, with him sticking it, and then he stuck her like 6 times. But I don't think she ever did the splits on the knife itself. Close.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
Yes.
It's a missed opportunity. And then I guess actually the final like iconic death is the turkey scene where the wicked stepmother is getting basted. And I swear Eli Roth was made a scene directly for Quentin Tarantino when he's basting
Oh,
her on the serving tray because it dwells on that girl's foot for like a good like 5 Mississippi.
he even puts a little
Um,
sprig of like thyme between her toes and everything.
right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Quentin's probably giving him a high five for that one.
What is your whole? What do you like Eli Roth? Like, do you enjoy most of his movies? There's been a handful I liked, a couple, you know.
I mean, I loved Hostel.
Oh yeah, that's
Hostel's
the number one for him, I believe.
That was fantastic. Cabin Fever was pretty good. Not, not as good as Hostel, I don't think. But I think those are the only two that I've seen.
He did Green Inferno. There's been a few.
I haven't seen that one yet.
But the only ones I can
Yeah.
remember is actually Hostel and Cabin Fever. This one was the kill scenes were memorable for me, but the movie itself, I'm not going to remember much of any of it.
Yeah, see, like Eli Roth, like what I associate him with is kind of pushing the envelope and being like kind of an edgelord successfully.
Mhm.
You know, he's like toes that line between the risque, or the kind of socially unacceptable line really well in some of his movies. Hostel was great.
Yeah, awesome movie.
Felt like exploitational, like really was kind of fetishistic, in a the best way for a horror movie. And this one, it was just like, I don't know, he seemed gun shy. It's like he didn't want to be too offensive.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, just go hard,
I want you to be offensive.
Yeah. I want you to be not matching the 2020s sensibilities. Let's go back to the, early 2000s, late 90s.
Well, I did appreciate how they didn't go like political at all in the movie or like woke or anything. Like they had that one moment where they made fun of the woke guy trying to get the girls, I'm never doing Thanksgiving again. But like I feel like a lot of movies, like I haven't watched A Wonderful Knife yet, but from your review, it seems like they went super extra woke, right? And that's fine, but I watch a movie to disappear for an hour or two. So I get to see that all day long, everyday life. So for him not to do that and just focus on the movie was pretty cool. I like that. If it was a better movie,
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't woke or anything distracting in that terms, and I don't usually have any like real beef unless it's distracting or unless it's just confusing.
But that's what I'm saying. Like when they add it just to add it,
Right, but it did feel watered down. It felt like they didn't really like want to go all the way with anything.
Absolutely. It could have been a great movie, though. I mean, I really had high hopes. But I also had high hopes for It's a Wonderful Knife, and I haven't seen it, and now I don't even really want to watch it, to be honest with you. I don't want to waste my time.
Yeah, you can wait. It's coming out on Peacock on December 1st, I think.
So soon.
I mean, it's going to be out in the theaters real soon.
Would you rather go to a theater now, 2023, post-pandemic, or would you watch it at home? Rather watch it at home?
I still love the theater. Like I take all of it. Like I think horror movies and comedies, like it's better seen with a group of people.
Yeah.
Even if like, I get it. Like a lot of people hate people talking in the theater or crunching on popcorn or like, whatever. And it's like, I don't know. I think the communal experience is part of it, and like I don't like people talking during the movie either, but I like seeing other people's reactions.
Oh yeah, that's the best part about it.
it.
But when they're having conversations, I can't. Like me and my wife went and saw Boogeyman in theaters, and there's a group of kids, like 4 kids, and they're probably 13 to like 15, and they were just having a conversation. So I figured that now I'm a dad, now I'm kind of an old guy. I mean, I dadded them so hard. I go, come on, fellas, quiet down now. And I just the whole time I had to keep getting them. And then they came up to me and they said, "Sir, we're so sorry." And I felt like shit because they called me sir. And I was like, "Oh man, this sucks. This sucks." But yeah.
As far as the cast, I gotta say, Nell Verlocque. Again, I'm sorry, Nell, if I'm mispronouncing your name. She was pretty compelling. It's one of those like X Factor things where, as far as like a final girl, like she had it because she was just kind of fun to watch, even though there wasn't much in terms of script and like for her to work with. But I don't know, she worked for me. Like she was fun to watch.
She's definitely the best out of all of the teenage cast. Like they're all not very good besides her.
Yeah, I think we'll probably see her in the future a lot. She's one of those where it's like, this could be, the leprechaun Jennifer Aniston role for her.
But she definitely has a look too.
Yeah, she's got the compelling eyebrows look. I don't know how to describe it. She's got very compelling, like eye-catching eyebrows.
That's what you're in. That's what gets you.
Yeah,
that's what gets you going. Eyebrows.
I thought she was pretty. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I like a lot of things. I think who was it? Carl in the last couple recordings that I did. He was like, I couldn't remember what was your type or like what you like, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I just like women.
All of them is my type. All of them.
I think like the one time where it was like my wife pointed out like a type is I was describing. I mean, or she just like sees me drooling over particular actresses, but it was like she was listing them off. She's like, let's see, Daisy Ridley. What's her name from Wonder Woman?
Oh, she has such a hard name to say.
Anyways, her, and there was one others, and she's like, so you like brunettes? I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I do.
Yes.
I'm a brunette guy, I guess.
I like the body type of Mrs. Fantastic is what I look for, and then everything else is just filler. That's fine.
She's got a great ass.
100%.
Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of a weird mid movie. Like it's a super mid movie that's occasionally fantastic when it comes to the kills and like the set pieces. But unfortunately, like all it leaves you with is just wishing it was a better movie,
It has its moments.
So, yeah. Final recommendations. Who do you think would like this?
If you just want to watch a movie that you just want to see great kills and that's all you care about and you don't care about a storyline, it's the movie for you, 100%. But if you like substance to it, probably not for you.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the Rotten Tomatoes game Holiday Horror Edition. I bet we probably don't have the Rotten Tomatoes sound effect on here. So we'll just play nothing. Okay. Okay, so this game, let's see how we're going to play it. So I'm going to read off a holiday-themed horror movie, and I'll read maybe a little bit of a synopsis and give you the year. I think I have all the years for them. And then you're going to guess whether it was fresh or rotten. So if it's above 50%, we'll just say it's fresh, even though that's not Rotten Tomatoes score. If it's above 50%, it's fresh. If it's below 50%, it's rotten.
All right.
Okay, so to start out, on the same holiday or same Thanksgiving theme, let's go with Addams Family Values from 1993. It has a particular scene with Wednesday Addams celebrate or like reenacting the first Thanksgiving. So you can guess whether it's fresh or rotten, and then you can guess the actual score, and then I'll give you the actual score.
It's so hard. I hate Rotten Tomatoes. They're awful, and I love Addams Family. I'm gonna say it was fresh. I'm gonna say barely fresh at 52%.
You're correct. It's fresh, but they loved it. It's 75%.
Well, it's way higher than I thought it would be.
Yeah, Addams Family Values is a well-regarded movie. I think that's probably scored higher than the original Addams Family, too.
I love it.
Okay, next we have Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead. And this is about some fast food workers discover the restaurant they work in is built on an ancient burial ground, and the chickens they are cooking try to kill them.
I'm upset that I haven't heard of that movie before. I actually really, really want to watch this movie.
I think it's from like 2021 or something.
So it's like an indie movie.
It's pretty recent.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say they hated it.
Yeah.
It's rotten. I'm going to say they gave it 26%.
Wrong.
No way.
It's fresh at 64%.
Wow.
Which is surprising.
I have to watch it now for sure.
Okay, so next is Valentine from 2001. Love is in the air, and the most romantic day of the year. Would-be lovers woo hearts and flowers, candy, cards, and gifts. Best friends Kate, played by Marley Shelton. Paige, played by Denise Richardson. Dorothy, played by Jessica Capshaw. Lily, played by Jessica Coffeyet. And Shelley, wow, there's a lot of characters, played by Katherine Heigl, are young women looking for a relationship, a Valentine to die for, and this year they might just get their wish.
Anything with Katherine Heigl in it, I feel like it's going to be rotten. She's like an awful person, I heard. That sounds like an awful movie. It doesn't even sound like something anyone should watch. I'm going to say rotten. I'm going to say at 35%.
You're correct. It's rotten at 11%.
Whoa, I gave it way too much credit.
Real stinker.
Wow.
Yeah, when your most famous person is Denise Richardson, it's like, that's rough. Okay, April Fool's Day from 1986, when a group of college students decide to spend spring break at the secluded island estates of their wealthy classmate, Muffy St. John, played by Deborah Foreman. What starts out as fun, hedonistic weekend turns into something more sinister.
Based on the name Muffy St. John's, I'm going to just go ahead and throw it out there and say it's probably rotten. And at 19%.
I got to double check this real quick. Hold on. Because I don't... The number and the score doesn't match up. Hold on. Okay, well, technically it isn't rotten. I mean, yeah, this is confusing. I didn't match up with Rotten Tomatoes score because I think below 60% is actually considered rotten, but it's at 57%, so it's over 50%. But yeah, probably not a great movie.
No, I'm guessing it's not very good at all.
Okay, so
Rotten Tomatoes also gave this movie like an 88 last night I saw, so I feel like I don't really trust Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, well, with recent movies, like, there's gaming of the system. Like,
has to be.
Like, I mean, with, like, It's a Wonderful Knife, it was, like, advertising how good of a Rotten Tomatoes score it got. And I was like, it's like, oh, they must have paid a bunch of Rotten Tomatoes people to score this good.
When my wife and I look for movies, I'll go on there, and if the critics say it's good and the audience say it's bad, I usually go with the audience. And vice versa. I'd never take the critics' word for it. I've watched movies that were amazing that they said, oh, it's just the worst movie ever. And then I think I do feel like they get paid off by the studios. Like, hey, we need this to be a box office hit. Come on, help us out.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's particularly rough on horror movies. Critics don't usually like horror movies that much.
Yes.
All right, next up, the iconic 1974, Black Christmas. As winter break begins, a group of sorority girls, including Olivia Hussey and the often inebriated Barb, played by Margot Kidder, begin to receive anonymous, lascivious phone calls, and eventually ends up in death.
So you're talking about the original one, right?
The original one, 1974.
This is a cult classic slasher. And I have a feeling that the critics didn't rate it very well. But I'm gonna say it's fresh. I know they didn't do it fresh though. And I'm gonna say 65%.
Actually is fresh.
Oh, thank
72%.
Thank God they got it
Actually,
right.
very well regarded.
Yes, thank God.
Okay, so next up, Black Christmas from 2019. The remake, the Blumhouse remake that we've mentioned.
It's not going to be fresh. It's a Blumhouse remake of a cult classic. I'm going to say it's rotten at 28%.
It's rotten at 40%, which is generous in my opinion.
Way generous.
Okay, last one is My Bloody Valentine from 1981. Friends defy the rules of a legendary murderer and discover he is real when they start celebrating Valentine's Day.
That's a tough one. Do they ever go back and re-rate movies on there? Like classics?
Yeah, it's like, well, see, that's where it gets confusing, especially with classic ones, because probably the original critics' reviews weren't great, but then they include everything on the internet, that's reviewed afterwards, too. So there's probably a bunch of reviews, on the internet about My Bloody Valentine that view it as, a cult classic.
So I'm going to go fresh with it then. And I'm going to go at 64%.
Very close. It is fresh at 58%.
Oh yeah, I was way close.
So you did really good on this. I think you only missed like 2, so
I appreciate it. I'm going to take that as a win.
all right, so that is our episode today. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Kyle, for coming on. And we're going to be recording another episode that I don't know when will come out, but you'll see Kyle again. This is not going to be edited by Fart Simpson. It's going to be edited by an automatic editor, so forgive it if it sucks. Thanks to our patrons. Want to thank Sydney as a new patron, and please share the podcast with a friend, and call 682-253-4468 to leave us a voicemail. Until next time, it's your boys signing out. Bye.
Thank you.
I don't have the outro music, so that's it. Bye.